Hello, and welcome to Rise Unwind. I'm Chris Molony. Each week, we connect with people across the country to share ideas, inspiration, and simple ways you can enjoy life right in your own neighborhood. On this week's show, we've got that and plenty more.
With a laser weeder, what happens is they run laser weeder and they don't have to spray anymore.
So sit back, relax, and let's rise and unwind.
What if you could experience Elvis in a way you've never seen or heard before? A new cinematic event from director Baz Luhrmann brings rare footage, restored performances, and unheard recordings together in something that's not quite a documentary and not just a concert film. It's called Epic, Elvis Presley in Concert. Baz Luhrmann joins us now to talk about his new big screen experience. Baz, welcome to the show, my friend. How are you?
I'm good, Dan, and I love the way you described it as a cinematic event, because people are having trouble to sort of say what it is. That's what it is. This weekend, 1,900 screens all over the US. Get out and have a cinematic event, because that's what we tried to do. That's what Elvis is.
And during the making of Elvis, you went searching for rumored lost concert footage.
Yeah.
And actually found dozens of boxes that hadn't been seen in decades. What did that discovery like for you?
Oh my God, literally we thought we'd find a reel. And we went down to these salt mines in Kansas City where they stored negative. Bang, there's 65 boxes and 1635, some 8mm. And Peter Jackson helps us bring it back to us to a level of quality. I mean, just get to the biggest screen you can in your town. It's in every town this weekend. Just get out there and see it, because it is actually, I've seen it enough now. People like applaud during it, they dance during it. This is a movie you can really bother the other patrons, bother them with your noise and your energy, because that's what it's for.
And this isn't simply a restored concert film. You described it as almost a cinematic poem. How did you approach shaping Elvis's life story through this dreamlike concert experience?
Well, when I was working with my creative partner in this, John O'Redman, we found this one box, and in it, Elvis is just recorded, unguarded, telling you about his life story. And we said, no talking heads in this. Let's just have Elvis come to you in a dream and tell you his story really unrestricted. And music and sing-along and concert moments. And he rocks out in it. Now sonically it's in 5/1. Everyone just says it sounds like it was recorded today, And the audiences are reacting like that. This is the concert, the world tour that Elvis never actually had. He dreamed of having one. He never got outside the US. As we're speaking, he's in 5,000 screens all around the world right now.
And for audiences who think they already kind of know Elvis or absolutely loved your film from 2022, what makes Epic a completely different experience on the big screen?
I go on YouTube and just see what fans are saying. They'll tell you. They're going like, I thought I knew him, and now, but it's his humor. He's so goofy. He's so disarming. And then just you see him creating the music. Like you see him take a song like Bridge Over Troubled Water, Simon and Garfunkel, and turn it into this like gospel powerhouse song. And, he's so unpredictable. And I think people are, even hardcore fans are going like, one guy said, he said it beautifully. He said, this is the film that Elvis always dreamed of making, but 50 years after his death, he's finally in it.
Baz, I want to thank you for joining me today. Epic Elvis Presley in Concert is in theaters now. You can find showtimes and tickets at your local theater and experience Elvis like never before. Baz, it's been a pleasure to have you on here, my friend.
Yes, my man. You're cool.
Some stories don't fade with time, especially when they involve trust, friendship, and betrayal. The new 3-part Hulu docuseries, Friends Like These, The Murder of Skylar Neese, revisits the 2012 disappearance of a West Virginia teenager and the shocking truth that followed. It's a story told through social media, personal interviews, and voices closest to the case. So joining us this morning are director Claire Titley and former FBI agent and polygraph examiner Dr. Rob Ambrosini. Thank you two for being here. How are you?
Thank you. Good. Thank you.
All right, Claire, what stood out to you about this case and what made you feel like it needed to be revisited now, more than a decade later?
I think one of the things that made me that was so kind of shocking about this case when I first kind of looked at it was the fact that it's 2012 and it's quite a unique era in a way for social media, because it was that era where social media was new. It was kind of a new frontier. It was the kind of Wild West though as well. And teenagers were experimenting with it. They were just putting their entire lives online. they didn't have the hindsight that we have now about kind of, what could possibly go wrong. But also it was an era where adults weren't really looking at social media. So nobody was kind of checking up on them. There were no sort of checks and balances. And that makes that generation of teenagers at that kind of time particularly unique. They're almost like the guinea pigs of social media.
And the series used Skylar's own words and social media posts that you said. How did that storytelling change the ways this story unfolds for viewers?
I think it was really important to us to try and give Skylar a voice. We didn't want her to just be a kind of a plot point in a true crime, where she's just the kind of victim and has no voice. We really wanted her to have agency in telling her own story, which is harder than it sounds, obviously when she's gone. But she left behind this incredible sort of archive of tweets, of digital messages, but also her own writing as well. So we worked very closely with her parents to make sure that we could just bring her voice kind of front and center, and that she could at least be a part of telling this story from the inside out. So we interview her friends as well, quite comprehensively, so that we can hear this story from the 16-year-old perspective, including Skylar herself.
And Dr. Ambrosini, you spent 24 years with the FBI. You've conducted thousands of polygraph exams. When you look at this case, what role did interviewing and behavioral analysis play in getting the truth?
Well, interviewing really played a significant role. And long before I became involved in the case, the two young girls, they were interviewed by case agents, state troopers, local police investigators. And during that process, you kind of started seeing this evolution of what really should be fact, right? When things are fact, it doesn't change, right? The truth is the truth, and it's always going to be the truth. But there were indications during these interviews that really did result in kind of like this evolution of their story. And of course, when that happens, the logical investigation is, why is this person changing that story, right? So this case is kind of about the behavior that's exhibited, the ideation, what's going on, what are they thinking, and how are they communicating? And that really speaks to the social media that you have here, which again was kind of in its infancy stage, if you will, compared to what it is now. So really, a lot of it did come down to the really significant interviews that the investigators were doing.
And one of the most unsettling aspects is how normal these friendships appeared on the surface. How does this case reveal about the hidden conflict, and especially among teenagers?
I think I think what we really wanted to do with this series was kind of remind people what it's like to be 16. It's very easy to forget when you become an adult, and put that behind you. But about the fact that when you are that age, your brain behaves in such a way that your friends become much more important than your parents, than your family. Everything is very heightened. Your reasoning is off, if you like. Your idea of consequences, is very different to that of an adult. And when you have that combined with social media that is completely unregulated, but unwatched by anybody else, that's where the kind of combination was kind of so dangerous, really, I think, particularly for that generation who didn't have the hindsight that we have now.
And Claire, after someone watches all 3 episodes, what do you hope stays with them?
I hope people do reflect on their own use of sort of social media, on their children, on their family as well, and remember what it's like to be that age. But also, I hope that they come away from this feeling like they know Skylar, and she would have turned 30 just a few weeks ago. So that's a life that she didn't have. And she should have gone to college. She wanted to be a lawyer. There's all this life that didn't happen. And I'd love for people to come away knowing and remembering Skylar as she was.
Hey, I want to thank you two for joining me today. Friends Like These, The Murder of Skylar Neese, with all 3 episodes available to stream now on Hulu. I want to thank you two for joining me today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have you ever wondered how investigators actually track down predators hiding behind a screen? Online crimes against children are one of the fastest growing threats, and the work to stop them often happens quietly through digital clues, undercover conversations, and long investigations. A new investigative series gives viewers a rare look inside those operations. Detective Tony Godwin leads the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force in North Texas and has worked nearly 7,000 cases over a 30-year career. Detective Godwin joins us now. Welcome to the show, my friend. How are you?
I am great. Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate the opportunity.
So your team investigates crimes that start online but can have real consequences. What does a typical case look like from the first digital clue to the moment someone is arrested?
I mean, it really evolves rapidly. That's the one thing that I think the audience is going to notice, how quickly things happen and how quickly things escalate. But from the moment we put ourselves in this situation in an undercover capacity and the elements of the crime are met, which doesn't take long at all, like it's so fast and so quick, then it takes me and my entire team to put together all the steps necessary, legal process, and put all the affirmative links back together to figure out where this person is, who this person is, and then get ready for a takedown and hopefully a good arrest.
In the series, we see undercover operations where investigators pose as minors online. What goes into building those cases and making sure the evidence holds up in court?
I mean, people need to remember that everything that we do in an undercover capacity is based on what we know has happened to a real child. Unfortunately, children are exploited every single day online. And as a result, those reports get made and sent to us, and those are called reactive cases. So we know where they go. We know how they're talking. We know what they're doing, and we know what's happening to them. So we base everything we do in the undercover world just like that. We just put ourselves out there. Once it happens, once the communications start, which does not take long at all. And then once those elements go is when we move forward with all the legal process to get things tied together in a nice big bow on top of it, and hopefully ends with a great arrest and a successful prosecution.
And you've worked nearly 7,000 cases during your career. How has the way predators online changed over the years?
Well, we saw a big increase during the COVID time, I will tell you that. We were forcing our children online and into school environments in an online capacity. And so we were just generally pushing everybody online because of our COVID scare and the things that were going around that. And so at the end of the day, it's like a pleasure paradise playground for these predatory types who are already in these platforms and doing what they're doing. And so they had a target-rich environment in front of them. So it has increased. And so also awareness has increased over time, but I'm hopeful it's going to increase even more with the show that's come out on A&E, because we want that intentionality. We want people to know. We want to raise the awareness level of the average person who maybe has some knowledge of this, but doesn't really understand the gravity of what it is. And you're going to see this highlighted in the show. Obviously, it ends with a nice high five moment when we put people in cuffs and we arrest them. And that's a very satisfying, rewarding part of the process.
And for parents that might be watching this at home, what are some of the warning signs that a child might be interacting with someone dangerous online?
Yeah, that's a really good question. First and foremost, I would say pay attention to the behavior changes. You know your child better than anybody. So if you have a child who's an A student that comes down to a C or a D student, then at the end of the day, you know something's going on. Maybe their friend group has changed a little bit. Maybe they're normally very outgoing, but all of a sudden they're really introverted. That could be a red flag that something's going on. Secondly, I would say know how to access your kid's device. Know the passcodes. Know the platforms they go to. Know that some of the platforms have their own passcodes that might be different from the code to get into the phone. Educate yourself about what they're doing and how they're doing it. Being intentional over time, not a one-time deal. This isn't I get to go look one time and then back out of it. If you need to use monitoring software to help with that, then do that. I'm a big proponent of that. But you need to be very intentional. You need to lean in. You need to have constructive, age-appropriate conversations with your kiddo so that at the end of the day, if something does happen, that child's going to come to you or a trusted adult and say, hey, I'm in a pickle, I've done something, or this is what's happened, I need some help. And you already have a path of what's going to happen to get that child back on a good restorative path.
And the show gives viewers a behind-the-scenes look at your task force and the work that you do every day. What do you hope people understand better after watching these investigations play out?
I mean, take into account, there's a little bit of shock and a little bit of awe. Most people are going to notice because after the first show came out last week, my phone almost melted with all these comments and questions about how graphic these predators are and how quickly things escalate. And that is reality. And so I think they're going to take away that, but I think they're also going to have this awareness level that has just increased exponentially. I think they're going to learn from some takeaways that are going to be highlighted on the show, that what they can do and what if something has happened, what if something's already happened. There's a lot of resources that are available to them, And I think they're going to enjoy the entertainment side of it, which is the arrest or the takedown. Those are all really great moments. And I'm really happy to be a part of the program with A&E.
Detective Godwin, I want to thank you for joining me today. You can watch Predator Hunters Thursdays on A&E, and episodes are also available to stream on the A&E app and ANETV.com. Detective Tony Godwin, I really want to thank you for joining us today.
I really appreciate your time. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to your audience. Thank you so much.
It's National Infant Immunization Week, serving as an important reminder for families to review their child's vaccinations and have proactive discussions with their pediatricians before the focus shifts to summer plans, travel, and a busy fall schedule. Here to break it all down is Dr. Milobsky, practicing pediatrician, influencer, and podcaster with insights on why immunizations matter and how providers can help families navigate the recommended vaccine schedules with confidence. Welcome, Dr. Milobsky.
Great to be here. I'm excited to partner with GSK to talk about the importance of childhood immunizations.
Well, can you explain the benefits of pediatric vaccinations for families?
Sure. No doubt you and your audience have heard about the rising measles cases across the country this year, especially, and I think according to the CDC, at last report, there have been over 1,700 confirmed cases reported. It's a great example of how following the pediatric vaccine schedule can help protect children from potentially harmful vaccine-preventable diseases like measles or whooping cough. In recent years, and since we've had a unified vaccine schedule over the last 30 years, estimated we prevented over 500 million cases of disease and over 1 million deaths in children. Diseases like diphtheria, polio, rubella that used to be common and sometimes deadly or crippling have decreased dramatically over the years because of the success of our vaccine schedule. In fact, we've been so successful at eliminating some of these diseases that many of my families that I take care of have never even heard of them.
So expand on that a bit. How do these vaccines protect children from serious illness?
Vaccines teach your child's immune system, help teach them how to recognize and defend against specific germs. They help build protection so that when your child is exposed, they have their body is prepared to defend against a particular germ. You know, kids are exposed to thousands of germs every day through their day-to-day interactions with other kids, through the food they eat, the air they breathe, the surfaces they touch. So that's why I talk to all my patients about how vaccines can help strengthen their defenses against serious or even life-threatening vaccine-preventable disease.
Now, what do you say to parents who still may have concerns about vaccine safety?
I reassure every family that I talk to that our vaccines and childhood immunizations have been extensively studied for safety and efficacy, and they are continuously monitored. But like any medicine or treatment, vaccines can have side effects. But for the vast majority of children, those side effects are mild. Things like fever, fatigue, body ache, some redness or soreness at the shot site. But for most healthy children, the benefits, the disease prevention benefits of vaccination far outweighs any potential side effect.
Now, how can any parents watching best prepare for their child's next doctor's visit?
So the Centers for Disease Control and the American Academy of Pediatrics all support and endorse routine, on-time immunization and encourage parents to follow the schedule and using your well-checked visits with your pediatrician as opportunities for open discussion about vaccines. I, as a practicing pediatrician, I welcome the opportunity for when parents bring questions to the office because it's a chance to build rapport and trust on a topic that can often feel a little opaque and scary. It's also important for parents to share any health changes that your child's been through, any allergies or any reactions to prior vaccines when you come to talk to your pediatrician at your well child visit.
Where should families go to find trusted information?
The resource that I point most parents to is the American Academy of Pediatrics. They have family-friendly, accessible, evidence-based resources extensively researched on this entire topic of childhood immunizations. But I think everyone acknowledges that there's a lot of information online and it can be a bit overwhelming. So your child's pediatrician, your child's doctor is your family's most valuable resource, first and foremost. Your pediatrician understands your child's individual health history, can walk you through which vaccines are recommended at which age. It can answer your questions in a way that's specific to your child. So I tell parents who have questions about vaccines, talk to your pediatrician first.
Well, Dr. Milobsky, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for so much great information.
Thank you for having me.
New state-level data from Amazon's 2025 U.S. Economic Impact Report is highlighting the company's growing role in the economy. As conversations around jobs, affordability, economic growth, and AI continue to make headlines. The company says it has invested more than $340 billion in the U.S. last year alone, and more than $1.8 trillion since 2010. This is supporting roughly 2 million jobs nationwide. Holly Sullivan is Amazon's Vice President of Worldwide Economic Development Policy. She joins us now to talk more about that impact. Welcome, Holly.
Well, good morning. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Now, taking a step back, what kind of impact is Amazon having on the overall U.S. economy right now?
Well, as you mentioned in your introduction, we invested $340 billion in the U.S. economy last year. To put that into context, that was our largest year of investments, and that's within our fulfillment network, capital investments, operating investments, and infrastructure.
And a little closer to home, what does that investment look like in states like ours?
So in Florida, we've invested $55 billion since 2010. And specific to Orange County, that's $6 billion. And when you're thinking about those numbers, obviously those are big numbers, but it's also how are we contributing to that GDP in the state? And so with that $55 billion investment, that means $60 billion contributed to the state GDP.
AI is a big part of the conversation. How is it shaping investment and opportunities in communities?
You know, we want to make sure that Amazon and the U.S. are leaders in AI infrastructure, innovation, and technology. And in order to do that, we're going to have to continue investing not only in our people, but in that infrastructure. So we are looking at various states within the U.S. of expanding that data center infrastructure to do that.
How is Amazon supporting growth in rural and smaller communities?
Very important part of what we're doing, and again, taking that customer feedback and understanding how can we continue to make sure our customers have that reliability, faster shipping speeds. So we're investing $4 billion across the country in our rural delivery network. And what that's going to do is create 50% faster shipping speeds. So most of our customers will be able to get that product, those essential items, in 2 days or less.
Now, looking ahead, what do these investments mean for the broader national economy?
Well, that continued investment, when you think about, the people, we directly employ over 1 million people in the U.S., and that indirect job creation also of an additional 1 million people. In Florida, we employ 57,000 full and part-time employees. So you have that direct impact of those individuals having the great jobs. That also comes with day one benefits and then educational programs like our Career Choice program, where we prepay college tuition to our hourly employees.
All right. Finally, where can our viewers go for more information?
Please check us out on aboutamazon.com.
Holly, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Have you ever stopped to think about what's actually on your produce, even after you wash it? A lot of fruits and vegetables still test positive for pesticides, and it's raising big questions about food safety. Paul Mikesell is working on a high-tech solution using AI to change how food is grown. Welcome, Paul.
Yeah, hi, thank you for having me.
Tell us about Carbon Robotics.
Okay, Carbon Robotics, we're an AI robotics company. We make a product called the laser weeder. And so what it does, it kind of does what it sounds like. It kills weeds with lasers. It's an AI system powered by NVIDIA GPUs up inside the robot. And we run our AI called the large plant model that's finding weeds live. And then we put a laser on them and burn them out and kill them.
Now, how are you using NVIDIA AI technology to help the farming industry and eliminate pesticide use?
Yeah, so all of our neural nets, all of our AI systems are running on NVIDIA GPUs. They're trained on NVIDIA GPUs in the data center. And then that machine that you're showing has 24 NVIDIA GPUs in it. So right up inside that machine is running NVIDIA silicon in there, and that's running our AI system. And then we're showing some video there of our autonomous tractor systems as well. That's also running NVIDIA GPUs in it to help make the tractors autonomous. So you want to do weed control, you want to do tillage, you want to set up your fields. We can do everything that you need with our AI systems. And it solves labor problems, it solves pesticide and herbicide problems. It's great for farmers.
How is this laser weeding different from traditional methods, and why is it a better option?
So the traditional methods usually involves a lot of spray of chemicals. The way that you keep weeds down in most of these fields is by spraying chemicals on the fields and then killing the weeds. And what happens is those chemicals get onto the produce. So when you go buy it at your grocery store, it's still got the chemical on it. It gets into your system. As well as the farmers who have a lifetime of exposure to these chemicals, because it's part of farming. You know, they need to deploy these chemicals to keep the weeds down. So now with the technology with laser weeder, what happens is they run laser weeder and they don't have to spray anymore. And that means they get healthier crops to market, they get better crops, and they actually get more of them because they're getting about 30% yield improvement out of the same ground. So they're getting 30% more crops, which means that they're using less water, they're using less fertilizer per crop, they're getting up to market earlier. So it's good for the farmers, great for the consumer, great for the land.
How can AI continue to improve the safety of our food supply in the future?
Yeah, I think these AI systems are really starting to come to fruition in farming. So the laser weeder was our first product. Then, as I mentioned, the autonomous tractor systems. And so what that means now is you don't have to have people out in the field, and it can be really dangerous out there, these big machines running around. And when you have things like the autonomous tractor system running, then what that means is you don't expose yourself to danger of being near all these big machines running all over the place. And so there's a lot of benefits of that, as well as just being able to scale your farm, right? There's always a contention for getting enough labor. Labor is hard to find, especially for these kind of conditions. This is very difficult jobs. And so with these AI systems, we're able to automate a bunch of that and help make our farmers more profitable and have more consistency in their operations.
Where are you currently leveraging this laser weeding technology?
Laser weeder is in 15 countries around the world now. And we're in about 20 different U.S. states. And so we're farming across hundreds of different types of crops. And the farmers that have been using it are showing great results. We've been doing some university studies, documenting and showing how much benefit there is, killing weeds, like I mentioned, increasing the yield. And so, yeah, we're all over the world at this point.
And where can our viewers go for more information?
Yeah, company is Carbon Robotics. So you can find us on carbonrobotics.com. And we have a lot of videos on our YouTube and Instagram. So if you type Carbon Robotics into those search boxes, you'll see some really interesting videos.
All right, last question, Paul. How soon can you be at my house to help me with my garden?
Yeah, we'll be there at 6 p.m. tonight. How's that?
Excellent. Paul, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
That's it for Rise and Unwind. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to learn more about the show, visit our website at riseunwindtv.com. And for behind-the-scene moments and celebrity interviews, be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Rise Unwind. You can also find our full episodes on YouTube under the same name at Rise Unwind. Until next week, I'm Chris Molony. Thanks for spending a little time with us on Rise and Unwind.